Hey there, Steven.
Hey there, Dustin. And hey there, listeners. You're listening to another episode of Wedding Photo Hangover, an irreverent look at the wedding photography industry and photography in general.
Got that memorized.
Kind of. I left some parts out, I know. Not hitting all the right notes. It's kind of intimidating seeing you face to face.
Yeah, so listeners, this is an exciting episode because Steve and I are actually doing this podcast together in person, in real life, in real time, like normal friends. I don't want to get too crazy, but we're in the same room, but on separate microphones. It's one step closer to humanity.
It's actually a face-off situation. Dustin showed up several hours earlier, and we underwent a surgery to have our faces swapped.
So we are actually also recording video of this podcast. Wave, Steve. Wave to the pretty listeners. And we will be showing that on YouTube at our channel. So you can check that out at the Wedding Photo Hangover on YouTube.
That's it, Dustin. Same name. Same game. That's how we play it.
Just with video. So Steve was actually kind enough tonight, since I'm in his neck of the woods.
Dustin, what are you drinking tonight?
Yeah, I am a great... This is an Indiana beer, right? Yep.
A great Indiana beer.
Yeah, Steve got me some Eric Blood Axe from Scarlet Lane Brewing, and it's not bad.
Not bad?
Yeah, it's okay.
If you're listening, anyone at Scarlet Lane, I want to apologize for Dustin and what he just said about your beer. It's fantastic. Quite possibly the greatest beer ever created.
I guess I just don't have quite the refined palate that Steven Van Elk has.
I should be talking into the microphone instead of staring at my computer and turning the volume off. Awesome.
There you go.
Good times. So, Dustin, first up, we got follow-up on the list. Follow-up from last week. Why the hell, this follow-up comes from me, not from a listener. Why the hell would you ever book a wedding on the weekend your baby is due? And did you fake that your sweet, sweet baby girl, Charlie, was crying just to get off the podcast before I tore into you for that? Because I basically asked the question, and you were like, oh, baby, gotta go. I can't respond to this.
No, my sweet, sweet baby girl was in fact crying. For those of you who out there listening that aren't from the great state of Indiana, you wouldn't know this, but pretty much everyone here is sick, including everyone in my house. So nope, she really was indeed sick and crying, and I've been still dealing with that. We always have what we call post vacation syndrome, where she wants to sleep in our bed, and it's harder to get her back into her own bed.
So on vacation, you let her sleep in the bed with you?
Because she was sick on vacation.
Yeah.
Yep, but no, to answer your question as to why I booked a wedding on the same day that my next child is due, is because, as you know, I own a video company, and said video company operates in this way where there's never an intent that I am going to be there.
So the wedding's actually booked for the video company?
Correct.
Okay.
Had I had a chance to finish the thought, I would have told you that.
Man, I was getting psyched. I was pumped. I was going to tear into you.
No, it's for a wedding video. And so we already have myself and two others booked for it. In the event I can't be there, the couple only knows of, guarantee that there will be two people there.
Very nice. Well done.
Yeah, I came prepared.
Like an associate photographer package.
Exactly. With you.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. CES.
Are we going to cut to Jose? Jose's actually on the floor at CES right now.
See, Jose? Can we get him on the screen?
Oh, nope, because that's too bright for the video. So too bright. Sorry.
But yes, the consumer electronics show in Las Vegas, one of the biggest shows there for tech, is happening this week. And there were a couple big photography announcements, but not really.
Not really?
I mean, so Panasonic dropped their new line with the GH5S which for those out there that shoot video, people are pretty excited about the fact that it will shoot 4K at 60 frames a second, which is what most video wedding shooters are like crying over.
Crying because they want it and they finally got it.
They got it.
So it's like at the end of a heartfelt, touching romantic movie where your romantic leads finally embrace and they kiss straight on the lips.
Yes.
And you start weeping with joy because that thing that you knew would probably happen finally happened and it's made you so happy.
But you would have to preface this romantic comedy with like the woman was with another man. Let's call it the GH5.
Ooh.
And then this is the GH5S. So it's like she found that
nice
upgrade that finally has everything she's ever wanted. And she's just has to trade it in. But I don't know why, but I've heard that Panasonic has removed the in-body camera stabilization from this model. So, and I don't know if that's 100% true. I haven't actually myself checked out all the stats on this. I've just been following what's been unfolding at CES because I'm a nerd like that.
Man on the floor, Jose's been updating you constantly.
Updating me.
Yeah.
The
Things
big
he's hearing from people who are there.
Correct. The big thing that he's really amped up about, and we were really excited here at the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast. We'll drop a link to this little thing so you guys can purchase it. Is Sony made a huge announcement at CES. Everyone was kind of, waiting for that big Sony A7S III to drop, that low light monster to just put Panasonic back in its corner. And they pivoted. I'm not going to lie. They really kind of came out of left field with this. They're doing an artificial intelligent dog. So, yeah, that's what they announced at CES.
Is that to pair with their artificial intelligent robot? Oh, no, wait. That's Honda's, isn't it?
That's Honda's,
man.
yeah. But, yeah.
Maybe they can find some synergy there. Artificial intelligent robot, artificial intelligent dog. Maybe they could be best friends.
Yeah, a little rough.
Yeah.
So moving
Cars,
on.
cameras, they go together now. I have a camera in my car.
Yeah?
Yeah, it tells me when I'm backing up.
Yeah, you should get one for when you're moving forward, too.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be nice. Have you ever done a photo of a couple in the backup camera of your car?
No, I can't.
Oh, another photography podcast. They talked about doing that on their first engagement shoot ever. So just...
So, like, the couple would sit behind the car, and then you would take a picture of the screen in the car?
Yeah.
Mine is just, I guess this time of year, especially mine camera is always like filthy and I can barely even see out of it.
Yeah. Do you know what podcast I'm referencing or what photographer?
No.
Sam Hurd.
Oh.
Yeah, the first engagement shoot he did. The one he did with his podcast co-host, Nathan Mitchell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
They talked about it on their podcast. That's how we know.
So Sam, Nathan, if either one of you are listening, this is an open invitation from the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast. We'd love to have either one of you, actually, or both of you.
Dustin, surprise, Sam's right here. He's going to walk in. Oh, I wish you guys, we don't have a mic for Sam. So if you're just listening to the podcast, you want to head over to the YouTube so you can see Sam's face as he reacts to everything we say. Because unfortunately, he does not have a mic, so he's not actually going to be able to say anything.
So he's just sitting here silently.
You think anybody will buy into that troll and head over to the YouTube?
No.
Damn it. Well, it's worth a shot. Worth a shot. I kind of just blew it. I'm going to have to cut that out of the edit.
Yep. Thanks. Adding more work onto my plate now, too.
Alrighty. So, Dustin, as you know, I've been trying to take it easy from social media, as is my New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
But I saw something on Twitter. A venue I saw on Twitter posted this, #photographer request. Are you a photographer who has shot a wedding here at our venue? Would you like your images to be potentially used in our marketing? Get in touch. Thanks in advance.
This is 11 ABV.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. That's why the surge is there, Dustin.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you down with the alcohol and bring you right back up with that surge.
Woo. Is it bad? I can already feel this.
No, it's normal. Yeah, if you couldn't feel it, it'd mean you're an alcoholic.
I mean, you're dead inside.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted.
That's why I only got you one beer instead of two.
Yeah, because I have to drive home.
in a few hours, because Dustin's responsible and he's going to let that alcohol get out of the system first.
Right.
Gonna brew you some coffee, get you some water.
Go see Star Wars. Exactly. So yeah, a venue wants someone to essentially do free marketing collateral for them. I've heard of this in the past. I've actually heard several photographers encourage people to do this on their own recognizance as a way to get in good with venues. But I've never seen it the reverse, where the venue just comes right on out. And
that's why I shared this, because I've never seen the reverse where the venue comes right on out. I mean, the venue is located in the UK, not here in America, which means it's probably a little different than how things function for us. I did not include the name of the venue because I didn't want people to go and, like, if they're upset by this, you know, just totally trash them. Right. Because that's not cool.
No trolling.
We don't want to bully people on the internet.
Right. Bullies are bad.
Unless it's Dustin and he's pretending that his baby girl's crying so he can get out of a situation, then bully away.
Bully it up.
So, yeah, what are your thoughts? Do you give photos that you shoot of like a venue? Do you allow them to use that in their marketing material?
Depends on the marketing material, and I know that it's a slippery slope, and it also depends on the venue.
But according to my favorite podcast, The Flophouse, and the specific host, Elliot Kalin, you know what a slippery slope is?
No.
That's just a slide. Slides are pretty fun.
Slides are pretty fun, especially water slides.
Which is what a slippery slope is.
But yeah, so I mean, we try to be gracious, and I try to be sort of like put myself in their shoes, because a lot of these like wedding planners and venues, they put in where I live, there normally isn't a wedding planner, so the venue is doing all this work, and if they don't take their own photos, then they have nothing to show for their fruits of their labor. So I try to give them a few photos. If it's a venue that I don't really care about, I'll typically put a watermark on the picture. If it's a venue I really want to do more work with, I'll just like straight up give it to them, and then just ask them to, tag our website or whatever.
So it's about who needs it, who wants it more. Mm-hmm. Do you want it more? Do they want it more?
Who's hungry? Yeah.
Tearing into that venue.
Making me hungry. I think I've got some Chipotle in the car.
Jen and I, we in the past have allowed vendors to use all of the photos from the wedding for their own marketing purposes. We do not watermark or do anything like that. We believe in trying to keep a open and friendly relationship with the vendors that we work with. That has worked out well for us. We get a lot of referrals from other vendors, specifically wedding planners. So I personally would recommend that. However, if a venue comes onto social media to request photos, I think they're a little bit more hungry there. And if you really want to get the photos, like you want to work with them more in the future, maybe reach out to them and be like, hey, I will give you some awesome photos, but I would like for you to maybe recommend me to people,
Yeah, but yes and no. So
you don't have to say you have to recommend me to people, but you could say like, I would like to be on your preferred vendor list. A lot of venues do that, and say like, I would love to give you photos if you would add me to your preferred vendor list. I feel like that's a pretty fair trade-off.
Absolutely, but the problem is you're doing all this work up front, and then you have nothing to hold them accountable to say actually follow through on referring you.
Well, here's where I'm going to reverse my position on internet bullying and say that if they don't put you on that preferred vendor list, you flame them. You drag them straight to hell on Twitter.
You burn that venue to the ground.
Yeah. Well, metaphorically. You don't want to physically burn a venue to the ground.
See, I knew a photographer. This is kind of a slight tangent off this topic, but I knew a photographer who got really upset because in his contract, he actually states, he retains copyright to the photos, which every photographer should put that in their contract.
You don't have to put that in your contract.
No,
that's
but you
just true,
should.
Period.
Yeah. And what had happened to him is that there was a venue that put in their contract that they also got copyright privileges, or like somehow that you would give them as the bride and groom copies of the photos.
So it's a real Taylor Swift situation.
Yeah. And so the bride and groom didn't really think anything of it. Wasn't a big deal to them. And they just turned around and gave the photos over to the venue. And next thing you know, this photographer who really prides himself on branding and marketing and all this stuff, is seeing his pictures in magazines, in their marketing material all over the place. And not once was he consulted or talked to or credited about any of it.
See, and that's a really slippery slope in America, at least.
It's a
Slide. That is a slide. That venue's going to get in trouble because they can put in that the bride and groom has to give them the copyright release, but the bride and groom don't actually have that power or authority.
That's where
so they can have that in their contract all they want, and they're going to get sued straight to hell. They're going to get dragged.
That's where it was interesting for the vendor, the photographer, because he was in this position where he, like you said, he wanted to just burn this venue to the ground. He, like, on social media and whatnot,
burn this mother to the ground.
He was so mad, but it happened to be one of the biggest, best venues in town. So it's like, by doing that, then he's also like alienating himself from shooting at that venue.
By doing that, he's protecting every other photographer in town. They should build a fucking statue to this photographer commemorating him and all that he has done for them. Yeah. He went to war, and he may have died on the battlefield, but he died a hero.
Yeah, I'm sure he would think about that as he's trying to pay his mortgage.
You can pay mortgage with hero bucks, right?
Hero bucks? Is that like a Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Hero
I
coin?
think so.
Speaking of Bitcoin,
we want to get Sam Hurd on the show.
Yeah.
To talk about Bitcoin.
Speaking of Bitcoin, did you hear about Kodak coin?
No, I did not.
So Kodak yesterday announced that they're going to be releasing their own cryptocurrency, which of course gave them a nice little bump in stocks today. But they're releasing their own cryptocurrency called Kodak One, and essentially what it's going to do is they're going to allow you to copyright and license your images and be paid in this currency, thus creating their own form of currency, I guess.
Oh, that sounds like something that's not going to work out.
Yeah, I was very intrigued by it. And so essentially what it sounds like it's doing is it's harnessing your computer's processing power to handle the storage and processing of the...
Because that's what every photographer wants, is for another company to take processing power away from them while they're editing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a win-win.
Yeah. Win-win-win-win-win. So that's very interesting. I would love to hear more about that later.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting. They're releasing it at the end of January is when it's going to officially come out to the public. You can sign up now over at kodak1.com, I think. But yeah, once it actually drops, Steve and I have a chance to kind of dive into it.
So can you just win at Kodak One by just taking a bunch of photos of random crap and then being like, well, I uploaded them, so I got all them Kodak points? Is that how it works?
It's like Pokemon.
Yeah.
But something that I did think was interesting is they're actually, part of the service is they're going to somehow write an algorithm.
Oh, crap, Dustin. Did you hear that? Did you hear my son running away from the room and then his footsteps going up the stairs? And you know that I cussed 5 seconds ago?
No. That
would mean tattle on me.
That would mean I would have to listen to you during this podcast. Anyways, enough about cryptocurrency and Kodak One.
That's actually the most interesting thing we've ever talked about on the show, and you're cutting it off early. But that's probably good. We should learn more. Come back informed. Come at the listeners right. We're going to come to you right.
Now I know why you're like the way you are on these podcasts after drinking half this beer.
Next
I can barely see straight.
Next topic. Dustin, we were tagged. The wedding photo hangover was tagged in a photo on Instagram by, you know what? I'm not going to share the name.
Okay.
Because I don't know if they'd want it discussed because the opinions we share might not be positive about what they did. So a user on Instagram writes, what is it really like being a wedding photographer, screaming at the top of your lungs, yelling out names, and turning around to realize that no one is listening to you? Hashtag family portraits. Am I right, wedding photogs?
This is where it gets good.
Which is, I commented back immediately 100% before I realized what I think is the real kicker here. The photographer in question posted a photo of, I'm assuming, her second photographer, or maybe the main photographer that she was seconding for, with like a list in his hands, reading off who needs to be in the family portraits. And behind him, there's just a bunch of people in his disarray, and there's a bride there. And this photographer tagged the bride to a complaint post on Instagram.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh my gosh, I cannot. Oh man.
But who knows? Maybe it was just like the absolute worst family photo experience, and maybe the bride even knew how bad it was.
Well, here's the thing. The bride commented on the photo and apologized. And the photographer just commented back and said, oh, it's not your fault. It's every family. And it's like, you're still complaining about this person's family, though. Like, you can post a complaint post, but don't post a picture of your bride and tag them in it.
So I think what Steve's trying to get at here, guys, is social media etiquette. And if you have a very public-facing Instagram that's targeted towards your couples and sharing images with them in it, for your business, don't tear them apart in a public forum.
No.
That's no bueno.
No bueno. Oh my gosh, I could not believe it when I saw it. I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's just funny. And then when I saw that the bride was tagged, I was like, oh no. So to the photographer out there who did this, I assume you're a listener, because why else would you tag us? And I just want to say, it's okay. We all make mistakes. I've made plenty of them. Dustin made a mistake this week that I called him out on Instagram, but then deleted because I felt like I was being kind of a dick to him.
What was that?
We can get into that, Dustin, if you want. So we all make mistakes. I've made more mistakes than Dustin. It's just I control the Instagram, so I delete those mistakes before Dustin sees them usually. It's okay. You're going to get through this. You're going to get over this. The bride does not seem very upset based on the comments that I saw between you and her. It's all good. It's cool. But don't do this in the future. You made your mistake. Learn from that mistake. You got to go forward. It's okay to complain. If you want to complain, do what Dustin and I did. Start a podcast. Nobody listens to these things.
And complain all the time.
Complain all the time. All the time.
Or, better yet, do what our next topic is, which is start this new trend.
Oh gosh,
that Steve discovered on Instagram as the coolest, most hip. If you really want to just beat the curve on the new thing, filters out, Visco, Mastin gone. This is what the 2018 kids are doing these days. Steve, can you just walk us through what this little gem you discovered is?
So if you're watching the video, I assume you might be able to see this. It might be a little bit out of focus. Pull it up.
Don't spill your surge.
Not open yet. The surge will be open in a little bit. There we go. Look at that. If you can't get a great view of it, I'll describe it, and we'll probably post it to... We need to start like a secret Facebook group so we can post stuff that we think is just real shitty that people are doing without like the wider public knowing about it, because this would be perfect for something like that. A secret Facebook group. Would you like to join the Instagram Illuminati? Dustin and I are starting our own secret Facebook Illuminati.
There might be secret code rings.
So what this photographer did is he shot a photo of a bride and groom on steps. And then the photographer went into Photoshop and shrunk their heads.
I feel like it reminds me, was there like a
Beetlejuice? Beetlejuice. There's the scene where like they go to hell, and in hell, there's the one person in hell with the tiny little head.
That's what it is.
which was amazing special effects at the time when that movie came out. Blow away cool, to use Apple vernacular words, sayings, blow away. Seeing this and oh gosh, the comment that the person wrote is, this unique concept of picked from at photographer, we won't say who it is, small doesn't matter, who likes it? And all I can think is, nobody likes this.
Oh, they got like 327
likes at this point in time. Did you pull it up on your actual Instagram? Are you looking at it? Oh gosh.
Oh, but I will.
They got tiny little heads. Tiny little heads. Don't do this. Do not Photoshop your bride and groom so that it looks like they have tiny heads or some other thing. Because this is not like a real thing that these people have. Like, it would be worse if you Photoshop your bride and groom to have like a real disability, deformity, like whatever you want to call it, like something that is physically different from the average human being. It'd be terrible if you Photoshopped your bride or groom to have that. But to Photoshop them to look like Beetlejuice characters who are going to hell it's unconscionable. It's unthinkable. I imagine that this photographer is...
it's you want to know how many likes they're up to now?
Tell me it's like 1,000, please.
3,000.
Holy crap.
674.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Mano quits the show. He knows nothing about what does the right thing in photography at all. But apparently, you can make fun of your bride and groom all you want on the Instagrams and become Insta-famous.
But I don't know that this is the page you were referencing is an actual person, or if it's like someone who's just posting a genre.
He's reposting somebody who already posted this.
Right. So I don't know how pick from.
Yeah, okay. It's a pick from somebody else. Somebody else posted that pic originally. Are you clicking through? Oh my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, follow the white rabbit that is Dustin.
All right, the actual
Dustin
photographer.
Rabbit down the hole. We're going to Wonderland, everyone.
The actual photographer, who, by the way, used hashtag best wedding photo.
Oh my gosh.
On this, did get 150 likes.
Yeah, and then reposted 3,000 likes.
Yeah. They're viral now.
Oh my gosh.
Well, here we are talking about it, so.
Because we have to talk about it. And this we're cutting edge talking about it too, because I haven't heard any other podcasts talking about tiny head photos yet. No podcast. I haven't seen it on any blogs. This is something we picked up on the Instagrams, bringing it to you fresh. Bringing it to you fresh. Amy from Facebook groups asks, is there any etiquette for working with/around videographers? The wedding I shot on Saturday, I was so claustrophobic from them following me around. They hit me multiple times with their equipment while recording. They walked directly in front of me during critical shots several times. Also, I really struggled with how to work around them. What should I have done? What is the actual code at weddings?
There is no code. It's like a Liam Neeson film.
It's chaos. It's Lord of the Flies, and you are Piggy. You are going to die on the rocks. When they throw the boulder down, you will be crushed, and your glasses will be all that anyone sees.
I mean, Steve and I have talked about this on an earlier episode, but I think the best thing you can do is, if you are concerned about the fact that there is videography happening at the wedding, is to simply pick up the phone like an adult and have a conversation with the videographer and see what their expectations are on the day of, what their style is compared to what your style is. So that way you can better work together as a team instead of him having to hit you in the head with his 70-200 to get his shot. That's my 2 cents.
Also, Dustin and I have talked about this before, but if you need cliff notes for Lord of the Flies, you can always hit me up, everyone.
All right, moving on.
No, not moving on. Amy from Facebook groups asks, is there any etiquette for working with around videographers? We have discussed working with videographers before.
Yes.
Dustin.
Steven.
They hit her multiple times with their equipment while recording. Have you ever hit someone with your equipment while recording a video?
I've wanted to hit people.
But have you?
No. I have not.
While doing photos, have you ever hit anyone with your equipment?
No.
Don't lie to me.
Have I hit you?
You were on the dance floor.
Did I hit you?
No, not another vendor necessarily, but have you hit someone?
Oh, I'm sure I've bumped into people before, but
Got that bump going on?
got that bump and grind going on the dance floor. But that's part of getting the vibe, getting the feel, getting the moves.
See, I've never hit a videographer or a photographer when I'm doing video. I've never hit one of them while doing like ceremony stuff. During reception, I have though. And I've also hit guests on the dance floor during the reception. Most people are pretty cool with it. I just apologize. Just memorize these words. I'm sorry. I know that's pretty tough. Just say it with me 3, 4, 5 more times. I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You just have to say it super fast because if somebody hits your stuff, I'm sorry right away. Boom. Instantly diffuses whatever tension there was, whatever was going on. But if it's like 5 seconds go by and then you're like, I'm sorry, they're like, dick.
Yeah, but typically the person you're hitting this is not really answering your question, Amy from Facebook, but if you're hitting a guest on the dance floor with your camera, typically the guest is more apologetic than you are because they're like, oh, I hit your $6,000 camera. I'm so sorry. And you're like, oh, no big deal.
Sorry, I was waiting for a pause so I could do that.
And I was planning on not giving you one.
I know. I saw you immediately when I lifted it up to the microphone, my can. You were like, I'm going to keep talking forever and ever and ever. Does somebody have the Constitution of the United States of America that I could read right now?
Janelle
Please.
from Facebook asked, I'm looking to buy an iMac, but I have no idea what upgrades are necessary. For instance, RAM? Is that a truck? I don't know. Comes with 8 gigs of standard? What is that? But you can upgrade to 16 for $200. That's like a family session.
Look, if you are buying a new truck, $200 for an upgrade, that's not worth it. That's not going to get you the engine power that you need when you're going mudding in the cornfields around Steve's house in Noblesville. You're going to open up that Surge?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see my Instagram story about the Surge?
Oh, I did.
You did? For real?
How expired this crap is. I'm probably going to grow listeners, a testicle.
I'll share the story in the after show. I also saved it to my Instagram profile if you want to jump over there and just watch it. Yeah, no, it's perfect. Don't worry about it.
I've never had Surge.
So I'm looking at buying a new Mac, asked Janelle on Facebook groups. No idea what upgrades are/aren't necessary. For instance, RAM comes with 8 gigabytes as the standard, but you can upgrade to 16 for $200. Is it worth it? This is what I would say, which is what I say to basically anybody who ever asks me for any advice when they buy a new Apple computer.
Or truck.
Max out the RAM.
Yes and no.
You're wrong.
Yes and no.
Nope, you're wrong. There's no in that situation.
With the newer
max out the RAM.
With the newer computers, yes, max out the RAM. The older computers, it was very, very easy to upgrade.
She's not asking about an older computer. She's asking about a new computer, Dustin.
But it just feels...
You can't give me 2008 advice. Hey, everybody, if you're watching the video right now, you see this huge cinema monitor in the background.
Steve still uses it. He could sell it.
That's Steve's monitor for his 2008 Mac Pro. He can upgrade
for sale. Any listener wants to buy it.
He can upgrade the RAM on his 2008 Mac Pro. He can upgrade the video card, his GPU, which is something that he's done. He's also upgraded the RAM. That's another thing he's done.
He also talks about himself in the third person.
But you know what? He's not buying a Mac Pro from 2008 today. If he bought a computer today, he's buying a new computer.
He did buy it.
There's a new computer right here.
And did you max out the RAM?
Maxed out the RAM.
Okay.
Jen bought this computer for me as a gift. It was a laptop. If you remember a few episodes ago, there was an episode titled Steve's Mac Dies at the End because my Mac literally died at the end. I had to take the hard drive out and do like a recovery to get the file back so we had something to post.
And you were going somewhere with this.
I wasn't going to get a new computer, but Jen bought one for me, and she's smart enough to know that you max out the RAM.
So max out the RAM. All right, moving on.
No, that's not all. I actually replied to this person on Facebook because this was important enough that I felt like it needed a reply. the RAM's not the only thing that you should be concerned about. If you're buying a new iMac, but you're not buying an iMac Pro, this person wrote this. Actually, this is an old question. They wrote it before the iMac Pro came out. The base iMac, which is the one they were considering getting, comes with a spinning disk hard drive. Dustin, is that a good idea to buy a computer with a spinning disk hard drive?
So yeah, I made the mistake with my most recent iMac purchase. I was tricked into that silly thing called a Fusion drive.
Oh my gosh. That was another thing they asked, and I told them 100% don't get a Fusion drive.
Yeah, if I could go back, I would not get the Fusion drive, and I would get the solid state drive only.
Because you don't want nuclear components inside the computer you're keeping in your house. That's
Correct.
what Fusion is, right?
Yeah. So every now and then I have to put a little solo cup next to my iMac where the disk drive used to be.
Just
to drain the radiation fluid.
That's not how radiation works. You're dying.
And then I bottle it up and send it to this company called Surge.
The company is called Coca-Cola.
What? Coca-Cola makes this?
Yeah.
It must have. Then what happened to Mellow Yellow?
They still make Mellow Yellow.
Isn't
Surge
this
is
a
so good they
competition?
brought it back. No, kind of, but no, but kind of.
It definitely is more Mountain Dew tasting than Mellow Yellow is.
They call me Mellow Yellow.
See, I thought it was going to be similar to when I was your age. I used to drink something called Mountain Lightning.
From Walmart?
Yeah, I think it was like Walmart or Sam's Club brand.
Sam's Club and Walmart are the same thing. It's all Sam Walden.
Mountain Lightning.
The Sam Walden Empire.
All right.
So here's the thing. Max out your RAM if you can. If you can't, you can't. That's a fact of life. Sometimes you don't have the money. But if you can, max out that RAM. Here's the other thing. Buy an SSD. That is super important. In the comments that people were leaving on this question on Facebook, the person said that they were also considering upgrading the processor. I would say don't worry about the processor nearly as much as you do about the RAM and the SSD. The SSD will actually make a bigger difference than the RAM, in my opinion, just for read-write speeds, especially if like you're copying files over to your computer. The RAM is going to make a huge difference, though, because every year they release new computers, and as they release new computers, they can put more RAM in those computers, and programs will take advantage of that more RAM. And if you're stuck at 8 gigabytes of RAM, and all the new computers have 32 gigabytes of RAM, you're going to be using a computer that's very slow because it can't take advantage of the
doesn't
random access memory.
Lightroom need 64 bits?
64 bits has nothing to do with RAM.
I just wanted to bedazzle you.
Dustin just bedazzled my
All
jean
right,
jacket.
and we're done with your questions, Janelle. I think that's enough questions for tonight.
I think that is enough questions for tonight. Actually pretty good. I really liked how you went with the bedazzling right at the end. I'm proud of you. Feel like a grown-ass dad congratulating his son. Thanks for listening to another episode of Wedding Photo Hangover Podcast with your hosts, Dustin and Steve. You can find us on Instagram at Wedding Photo Hangover and on Twitter at WedPic Hangover. You can also find us on Facebook at Wedding Photo Hangover and on the YouTube. You can find us on the YouTube at Wedding Photo Hangover. We're everywhere. If you want to follow Dustin or Steve individually, you can find Dustin on Instagram at DJ DMAC Attack.
Was that a dog?
That was a dog. You can actually find Dustin at Dustin_McKibben. But I'm really waiting for that DJ DMAC Attack account to come up because listeners want it bad. And you can also find Steve at Steven Van Elk.
Can they find him there, though?
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time your head is pounding, your limbs feel like dead weight, and your entire being is aching for the sweet embrace of death. That's right, next Sunday after you drink too much Eric Bloodaxe, like Dustin and I just did.
Or Surge.
Man, I just keep hitting my cord. It's going to sound terrible in post. Anyway,
Hey, so after show topic that I wanted to talk to you about, completely unrelated to anything other than you and me. So listeners.
Did I subconsciously pick my nose throughout the entire episode?
No.
I mean, we have video evidence. We can go back and look.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I thought that's where you were going with the after show topic.
No. So I was actually, I can't remember what I was doing. Oh, I know what I was doing. I was putting a hashtag on something, which I don't do. I don't do that. And so I did it. And I went to put hashtag Dustin and Corinne on something.
You see that? I did the hashtag sign for the video.
Justin Timberlake right there. Anyways, so I was hashtagging a photo. And I was hashtagging Dustin and Corinne.
Hashtag Dustin and Corinne.
I was typing in hashtag Dustin, and guess what came up?
DJ D-Mac attack?
Hashtag Dustin and Steve.
What?
Yeah.
Dustin and Steve?
And so I got all curious. I was like, is there a hashtag Dustin and Steve?
Yeah, it's actually for all the slash fic that our listeners have been writing about us.
And so I finished my post, and then I went and I clicked it.
Dustin takes his hat, which was forwards, and he flips it backwards. Then Steve takes his hat, which was forwards,
this opportunity to take a drink.
It backwards too. Oh yeah.
So, anyways,
we all orgasm at the same time.
So I was curious that maybe this was a hashtag Steve had started, or maybe some listener had started.
And I said it on the podcast, and since you don't listen to me, you just didn't know.
Exactly. And I clicked it, and no, it was all of these fan accounts for...
I don't know, buddy.
Stranger Things.
Oh, nice.
Dustin is one of the characters. Steve is one of the characters.
Oh, yeah, because they have the whole... Okay, yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Don't you ruin it for me. I'm still on season 1. But I assume they have something together, and then the fans like it, and so there's a lot of fan accounts started, and there's a lot of hashtag Dustin and Steve.
It's you and me, buddy.
And I was thinking maybe we should get in on some of this Dustin and Steve action.
I mean, obviously, I'm Steve because I'm Steve, and Steve's older, better looking, great hair. Don't look at my hair in the video. I'm balding. Damn it. Stop looking at the video.
And Dustin just rocks a hat from Wildcat really well.
And he's kind of annoying, and he's smaller.
And he's always got snacks.
Dustin's actually a great character in that show. No, dude, they have like a team up thing in the second season. I'm not ruining anything for you. At some point in time, they're going to team up. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a hashtag.
I figured as much. So, yeah.
I haven't finished Stranger Things season 2 yet because my kids are always around and I can't watch scary stuff in front of them.
Right. So, same here.
Still trying to finish it.
I've watched maybe 3 or 4 episodes because our flight got canceled. And so I was watching those at the airport for season 1. And that's about as far as I got.
So real quick, one last thing in the after show. I mentioned the whole Surge thing.
Surge it up.
So the story behind the Surge is that my mom, every year for Christmas, asked me and my siblings what sort of alcoholic beverage we'd want. Before we were old enough for alcoholic beverages, we had non-alcoholic beverages. This year, they're kind of making fun of my brother-in-law because he said he wanted some wine. And I just laid in there with this real quick joke. Also, like a year or 2 before when the whole thing came up, my older brother never responded. I said he wanted framboise, which is like a raspberry beer that's very sweet, very sugary. And he was real upset when he got that because he did not want it at all.
It sounds delicious.
I thought it was funny. As hell. So my mom was like, make sure you get your things in quick before somebody else answers for you. So just as a joke, I was like, I would like some Surge, this drink that used to exist when I was a kid that I thought had ceased to exist on the face of the earth. So I say that, and then I go to Christmas, and there's a giant box from Amazon there with all my gifts. And I was like, well, that's strange. And it's very heavy, the box. And so I open the box up, and inside there is a case of Surge that my mom bought on Amazon. Apparently, Surge, Coca-Cola, who makes Surge, decided to bring Surge back because everybody loved it so much because it's one of the greatest drinks ever. So the case of Surge, which Dustin and I are drinking right now, is actually from 2014. It expired in 2014, but it's still good. But if you, the listener, want to get some Surge up in your veins, get some of that green in you, some of that slime, some of that Slimer, maybe Ghostbuster Slimer. You can get that at like basically any gas station. Jen and I saw it this weekend on our way back from Chicago when we watched Hamilton.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Hamilton was awesome. Straight up awesome. I got a confession to make to you.
Only to me?
No, I made it on Instagram too in my stories. I cried for the last 25 minutes of Hamilton.
Really?
Straight from the time, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but there are several duels within Hamilton. And during one of the duels, I started crying. It was emotionally charged. It was actually in the song before the duel. I started crying because I knew it was coming because I've listened to the soundtrack before I went to see it. And started crying, and I just cried throughout the rest of the musical. Something I never thought I would say in my adult life is I spent 25 minutes crying in a theater full of people, but I did. And it was great.
You were the only one crying though, right?
Oh my gosh, no. The entire theater. There are two very heartfelt songs, both during duels because people die, and there were literally people like sobbing and moaning during the third duel. There's 3 duels in the thing, and during the third duel, there are people sobbing and moaning like out loud. It was a very heartfelt, emotional musical. Which, when you hear like awesome founding fathers rap battles, you don't think, I'm probably gonna cry in this musical, but yar. Yar.
All right, good night.
All right. Thanks for visiting us, and good night. Boop, boop. Beep, beep.